we're going to look at a few more basic tools that will help you to work on your posture, so you can see the process more clearly. Last episode, we looked at the idea that we have a model of where we want to go, we have the directions that guide us there, and we have visual feedback to verify that we've done what we intended to do. These are the essential means we can use to create visible change in our posture. Remember, our posture is formed by the movements that we make. When you stand with your pelvis pushed forward or your arms bent and retracted, it's because you moved your pelvis forward. You moved your elbow back. To change our posture, we need to make the correct movements. Today, we're going to examine why a stick is one of the most valuable physical tools you can use for producing postural change. A wooden yardstick or meter stick works well, but you could even use a straight stick that fell off a tree. This might sound funny, but simply having a relatively sturdy object that forms a straight line is incredibly useful. First, we can look at simply holding the stick like a sword out in front of us. You'll find that most people will hold the stick in a shortened manner. That is, their back will be shortened and their elbow will be pulled back and in. Or if they extend their arm, they will overly straighten it and raise their shoulder. A simple exercise is to hold the stick while keeping your elbow lower than your hand and the tip of your elbow pointed outward. Then you move the stick forward in space while keeping your rib cage lifted and preventing your lower ribs from going forward. This opposition of keeping the back and moving the arm forward will be a stretch for most people and will help you to start to get due tension into your upper back. Check with video to see what you're doing. You may find your lower ribs are going forward. Now, we can use our arms differently than this if we need to. The point is not that this is the only way we should ever use our arms. It's that this is essentially how to use the arm while the torso and arm are extended, and we should be able to do that. Yet similar to what we saw in the last episode of this series, often movements that should be well within our range of motion are really hard for us, whereas shortening movements are easy. If we take time aside to specifically make the right movements, we can get better at responding to challenges in our day-to-day life, and we can react by lengthening instead of shortening as most people do. We can also use the stick in conjunction with a wall and a chair. We can sit in the chair and measure off the distance from the front of the pelvis to the wall. Just find the corner of the hip bone that sticks out at the front of the body. We can then take the stick out and measure off from the lower sternum or upper sternum to the wall. There is variation in what people will find, but most will not be able to fit the stick when it's on their lower sternum, but will have more than enough room at their upper sternum. Our model tells us that we want the rib cage and pelvis to be upright, which means that the front of the pelvis and rib cage should be on the same plane. Therefore, they should be the same distance from the wall. If your lower sternum is too close, you need to pull it back and up. Make sure you're not going down. From there, see if you can get your upper sternum to go forward and up. If you leave the stick at your lower sternum, it's blocked and can't go forward. So you can play with this idea of lifting your upper sternum forward and up while making it impossible to move your lower sternum forward. Or you can move the stick to your upper sternum and try to bring the upper sternum forward so that the stick hits the wall. However, you want to hit the wall higher than when you started. Don't go down. And you can put your free hand against your lower sternum and push back to make sure you stay back with the lower sternum and don't go forward with it, which will happen if you're not careful. If you have two sticks of the same length, you can use both at the same time. This is how we work with our posture. We need to gain skill at making these specific movements of bones and bony structures that go against our habits and which lengthen our fascia. People are out here lifting heavy weights, and while that may have certain benefits, it doesn't help your posture because you are going to use your bad habits to lift the weights. we need to dig deeper into something more particular. We need to orchestrate these specific, coordinated movements. These gestures probably don't look that challenging, but if you're a beginner, you'll find that they are. Movements that go against your habit will often feel like a lot of work, even though they are simple little movements. So even just holding a light wooden stick out in front of you while sitting or standing is going to be a workout for most people if you have to keep your back and your ribcage high. You don't need a weight. You can use a light stick and get way more benefit for your posture and fascia because you'll actually be making the right movements rather than building your muscles doing the wrong movements. This is not an exhaustive explanation of how to benefit from using a stick, but I hope you now have some understanding of how we can use them to our benefit. A stick can measure a distance, block us from making a wrong movement, or be a prop that allows us to work on interacting with an object while maintaining good posture. Ultimately, these tools are used to assist us in developing our ability to control our movements. In the end, that's what this all comes down to. Most people have almost no control over how they move and use their body. That's not to say that they can't do anything, it's that they make their gestures based on habits. Their reactions are habitual. They don't control their habits control them. This becomes clear when a person realizes they have a postural problem or a pain. When they try to correct the problem, they find they can't. Because when you're dominated by your habits, you will struggle to speak to yourself. You will tell your arm or the lower end of your rib cage to do something. Then you will act out a different movement. This is what I call discombobulation, the inability to do what you intend to do. And further, if you have the wrong conception of what good posture is, then even if you succeed at moving towards that posture, you will not be improving. Many people's conception of improving their posture is little more than lifting the front of their chest and pulling their arms back. Two movements that are, in my view, taking you further into your bad habits. So even if you get really good at making these movements, you'll only be making the problems worse. To solve this discombobulation problem, we have to apply our conscious reasoning mind. We have to understand the correct model of good posture. We have to remember the directions that take us there. And we have to gain the skill to move the way we intend to. Because as I said, your posture is the result of the movements that you make. Change the movements, and you will change the posture. Lastly, I'll say, I do think most people will need instruction in how to correct their posture. I put these videos out to try and help people understand as best as they can, but it's not really easy to learn on your own. Getting one-on-one instruction from a knowledgeable person, someone who can give you accurate feedback in real time, will make this stuff a lot clearer. The movements that I'm talking about go completely against your habits, so you aren't going to want to make them at first. At first, they will be strange and uncomfortable. Many people won't push themselves to make uncomfortable movements on their own. If you would like some direct assistance, in my opinion, the initial Alexander technique is the most effective system out there. I give lessons in this system one-on-one over Zoom, and there are other teachers out there. It's a small but growing group. You can think of it kind of like personal training, but instead of being instructed in mindless exercises that may have some benefits but won't help your posture, you will be getting instruction in how to take control over how you use yourself. You can then employ that control in any area of your life, from playing an instrument to public speaking to sitting in a chair. And because you record video of the lessons through Zoom, you will literally see what you're doing and see how you can improve. And in time, you will see your posture change for the better right in front of your own eyes. For more information about the system I teach, or to book a lesson, please visit my website, mechanicsofpoise.com.